and welcome to This Car Pod.
I'm Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And today we're going to talk about cars. Now, this week, Kennan is out of town, and so we've pre-recorded this episode, and so we have no news to discuss. So we're just going to get right into talking about cars, starting with some interesting Filippo-related content. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a 2014 Mercedes-Benz E350 4MATIC wagon.
We found that out last week.
$85,000 MSRP, fun fact, in 2014. Real money.
Oh, he's bragging about his originals.
No, but Nick, who's sometimes on the podcast, and I have compared window stickers because he has a heavily depreciated Cayenne from the same year. His costs more originally. But
what was my sticker?
Less.
I think my M5s was $75,000.
Yeah, yours inflation was right around mine. Yours is less.
Mine is less, and I got a 23, and my Sequoia's was less. You're driving around a rich guy car.
Correct.
I got all these.
My spec is excellent.
It is.
That car has everything.
Yeah, and a lot of it's breaking right now.
Correct. Yeah, the car is 10 years old. It has 110,000 miles. I bought it on Cars and Bids with 65,000, something like that.
No way. You've put 50,000 miles on that car? You bought it like 2 years ago.
45 if you want to do the math correctly, but yeah, right around there.
There she is.
There she is indeed. He bought it from a nice gentleman named...
He bought the car in Maine, and he's cumulatively driven it from Maine to San Diego.
Correct. Fun fact, I bought it in Maine, flew up there, drove back in June 3rd or something like that, and then about 3 months later went back up to Maine to within 10 miles of this guy's house with some friends. But it's great. Okay, 65,000 when I bought it, 109.5, something like that right now.
Wow.
It's been excellent. It's been like legitimately trouble-free till like 6 months ago. And now things just kind of, small issues arise. One big issue with brake lines and rust that only impacted the brake lines, incredibly. But then like there are small things. Like there's a rear air suspension as in all of these S212s. And that's making noises now. There's a bunch of other like kind of small things that are just starting to wear, which makes sense with its age and mileage. But I'm getting annoyed by it. Like it's just getting annoying that these things arise, that I have to fix them, that I have to like, we're busy, I don't want to take time to bring it up to the shop, whatever. So I'm starting to think about what would I replace it with?
Filippo, will you please just do what I have begged you to do?
I'm not buying an E-Class wagon of your generation.
Please, it's the greatest car any of us have ever owned.
I have just one rule, and that's that I think my next non-performance car needs to be a hybrid, and ideally a plug-in hybrid.
It's a hybrid. What are you talking about? It's a hybrid.
It's a 48-volt BS hybrid. The fuel economy of yours is equivalent to the fuel economy of mine, and that does not work for me. And
no, dude, I got 34 driving it from California to Massachusetts. 34. You ever get 34?
No, but when I don't drive it, it gets like 30ish.
When you don't drive, I see.
No. My wife drives it.
Filippo, the E-Class that came out in 2017 is the single greatest car ever built.
Your wagon is over here. I drove it here from your house. It went through a car wash for you. Yeah. My entire thought the entire time was, it's fine.
No, that's the point. That's what an E-Class is supposed to be.
But like, if I already have that experience, already have that car. I want a hybrid. I want a plug-in hybrid ideally.
No.
So which plug-in hybrid should I buy? Because I need a plug-in hybrid because we regularly drive 500 miles at a time, and an EV is not great for that, especially because my wife's family is in northern Arizona. There's not a great charging infrastructure through the middle of the desert.
Filippo.
But my wife also drives frequently 20 miles at a time, and a plug-in hybrid would be perfect for that.
Filippo, please get the new E-Class. Filippo, I'm telling you, the E-Class that came out in 2017, the 213 E-Class, is the greatest car that has ever been made. It is the best daily driver. Forget about it. Don't think about it. Be relaxed and comfortable.
I care about the environment, and I want a plug-in hybrid.
That's not miles per gallon. I got a hybrid. It's a hybrid. It says on my
registration. Get it for fuel economy.
It's a 48-volt hybrid that doesn't add any fuel economy.
It's a hybrid.
It's the same way it's a hybrid that the Chevy Malibu was for years, because most Chevy Malibus were 48-volt mild hybrid. Here's
a fact for you. This is great. The Sequoia is also a mild hybrid.
No, the Sequoia is an actual hybrid.
I can drive it in fully electric. If you feather the throttle like crazy and keep it under 12, you can drive it in full electric. And so I've been doing that. And so you're on a 25 speed street and you're going like 14, you know, and you're an electric, and people are like, why aren't you going faster? And it's like, I'm saving the environment.
You're getting passed by people walking, but yeah.
Yeah, you are, but I'm getting infinite miles per gallon. Infinite miles per gallon.
Which is the beauty of a hybrid. Can you do that in your wagon? No, you cannot.
No, for some reason. Filippo,
Because it's not a real hybrid. It's
two
a big
suggestions.
battery. Big, like, regular battery. Yeah.
I'll give you two suggestions. Number one, the E-Class wagon. Number two, Ford Fusion Energy.
Ooh.
Because it's the only plug-in hybrid I know. But please get an E-Class wagon. Please. It's so good.
All right. Can I give you guys the actual options that I'm vaguely considering?
Sure.
Yeah.
Vaguely considering lightly used X5 45Es, which are plug-in hybrid BMW X5.
You would never buy that next.
First of all, they depreciate so quickly. Second of all, though, their fuel economy when like it's not on plug-in hybridness is about 22 miles per gallon highway, which is just too bad. XC90 T8 hybrid.
You would never buy it. Too big, too expensive. You would never do it.
Slightly
next.
older Porsche Cayenne hybrid. Those are 12,000. But
That's
then
not a real hybrid.
you run into the same problem.
There was no way that gets better mileage than my E-Class wagon. There was no way.
But it's plug-in hybrid. So like
No, it's not. No, it isn't. The original Cayenne hybrid that came out in 11 was not a plug-in hybrid. It was a gas hybrid.
Look it up.
What do you mean look it up? I worked for the company. The original Cayenne hybrid, the one that was sold from 11 to 14, was
Plug-in
not a plug-in
hybrid
hybrid.
system in the subtitle.
What year is that?
17.
That's not an original one. And what did it sell for, by the way?
It was bid to 18,250.
These are free, but they have the same
This one
problem
sold
with
for
my wagon,
25.
which is it's a more heavily used car. It's gonna have the same problems. So then you get to my wife doesn't care about cars. She won't really care. We're usually taking her on road trips where she's driving it. Should we just lease a newer regular car?
No.
And they answer. It turns out that every midsize crossover at the moment, excluding like the RAV4, is available for about $300 a month as a lease deal, and that gets appealing.
No.
Well, give me a better solution. That's still a plug-in
I'll
hybrid.
give you a better solution. $300 a month. I'm going to tell you what it is. Kennan, pull up E450 wagons. Type in E-Class, and then just look at 17s and up, because it's too hard to figure out what they're called. I think they're called. We actually just sold a nice one for 31.
They were E400 before, by the way. They had any hybrid system.
E400 wagon. We just sold a nice one for. Oh God! What is this year stuff? Just type in E400 wagon. Go
Body
up there
style.
and type in that
Body
gray
style.
one right there.
E400
That gray
wagon.
one. Click on that gray one. Click on that gray one. That sold for 31.5, right? Filippo, you could buy this instead of spending $300 a month on a lease for 36 months. That's going to cost you 10 grand.
Yep.
This will not depreciate 10 grand.
Yes, it will, because my car has. I bought it for $27K. I think it's worth about $20K now.
You put 50,000 miles on it in a year and a half. And by the way, if you plan to do that for a leased car, good luck.
I put 45,000 miles on it across 3.5 years, which is right in line with normal leases.
No, it's not. Leases don't give you 16,000 miles a year. They give you like 11, especially the kind of low price leases you're talking about.
45,000 miles, 3.5 years is 12,800. Fine. I would have driven 800 fewer miles a year and been fine.
Filippo, please buy an E-Class wagon. It's the greatest car ever
gotta say,
made. Kennan, just
this is
tell him. Why
appealing
would
to
you do
even
it?
me. I think this is
Okay,
here,
you guys want to know the real issue with buying this? Find one that has Distronic. Find one that has any good options. None of them do.
Okay, wait, Kennan, go back.
Doesn't sound like a
back
problem
out.
for me, to be clear, but you know.
Go type.
Wait,
type in
22.6
Mercedes
is
just type in E-Class.
22.6 is a wild.
I did
price.
type in E-Class.
25K. Okay, maybe
Yes,
they're
that
going
one
to
was
than I
a
thought.
total deal. That one was a total deal. It was in New Jersey. You could have even gone. You have your dream thing of driving it all the way across the country. That total bargain.
If I'm replacing a car, I need it to be a real hybrid.
All right, Kennan, let's move on to your topic. I'm not going to discuss hybrids with him. He's being irrational, and he's not accepting the fact that it is a hybrid, which it is, and
Mild
he
hybrid.
It's but that's like saying that I live in a mild house. It's still a house.
Well, speaking of irrational, while Doug has an aneurysm, we're going to talk about something that
I'm wrong about this.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You keep on him about this. But anyway, so I was recently thinking, a friend of mine and I were talking about like weird convertible cars, and he reminded me of this company that exists called Newport Convertible Engineering. Now, their job is they take normal cars, sometimes there are convertible versions that exist. Sometimes there aren't, and they turn them into convertibles. But what was interesting to me is that they have a tab of their work on their website that goes, there's custom convertibles, classic convertibles, and concept vehicles. Now, I would like to give a couple examples of each to demonstrate what this company does, because it's
insane. I know
wild.
what this is. It's totally nuts.
So this one, so we're on their right now. So this is we start with some of their custom convertibles. So 599 convertible version. Now, of course, that exists, the SA Aperta, but they did it in a different manner. They took one and just completely lopped the roof off of it.
And by the way, they did it in a better manner. And you want to know something about Newport? When I worked at Porsche, we lost a day to this. Someone found this website, and this was 10 years ago, but the pictures on there, we lost a whole day like looking at these pictures. Newport does a pretty damn good job with these
They
cars.
do.
They really
We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, some of them are heinous, but they do the best job they can. But this 599 looks pretty good.
599 looks pretty good. But this was one of my favorites, the Maybach Landaulet convertible. So
Which is a 62 or a 57, I can't tell.
Yes, and they took and the way the convertible top sits is just on the trunk.
I'm familiar with that. That's how my Fiat works.
It is like your Fiat, yes. But I love the integrate. I just love how it looks so
They've done multiple.
What do you want them to do? It correctly?
That is correct.
Yeah, that is. But it has a tonneau cover too. Look at this mass of leather to cover up that major.
To be fair, although that is absurd, I'm quite certain that the actual Maybach Landaulet, which was a production car, was the same way. I think that the
Landaulet just means that, yeah.
I think that it just sat there on the back.
Maybe not great. But then
Yeah,
here's one for you, Doug.
No, go to the LX.
Well,
No, pull this up. I love this. The G-Wagon convertibles that they've made are so stupid because the problem with Newport convertible engineering and the problem with making convertibles like this that people don't understand. So when rich guys in the Middle East commission these cars, what they don't understand, what they're not thinking about is four-door cars cannot easily be made to be convertibles because you have door frames and doors and rigidity. Mm-hmm. So this G is the best example because when you try to make this G into a convertible, if you got to leave that B pillar in for the doors to exist.
Yep.
And then it looks absolutely heinous, roof up or down. This is not a Newport convertible engineering problem. It's a four-door. This is why, if you ever wonder why there's no four-door convertibles, it's because of this.
Look how awful that looks. Man, that is a tough looking vehicle. But yeah, it's exactly.
But they did it.
They did it. I mean, they did it.
did.
They did what the customer wanted to do, which I love. But yeah, there are just so many that are like this. This Cayenne is another great example.
The Cayenne is
just
one of the
like,
all-time greats.
yeah,
Have you ever seen the wood-paneled Cayenne?
No, I've seen photos of it. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I have not seen it in
They
person.
did it. Keep going through these. They're so good. Go back to that Lexus LX.
Oh yeah, Lexus LX is again one of their
Brutal.
So good.
Brutal. Look
absolutely brutal. It looks so silly.
at that. It looks so bad. Do you have a picture with the roof on?
Oh, I'm sure there must be.
I don't know.
Yeah, it looks even worse, and it's a tan top too.
Let me tell you though, you're driving down Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai, and you have that, and you look so much cooler than everybody else with their regular LX that has a roof.
Look at the A pillar, how it just curves here. It's like, oh, man.
Do they have any where they had to redo the taillights because the taillights were vertical? Oh yeah, they updated
I can't imagine they must try hard to avoid that kind of stuff.
I would think so, but I mean, it
What
just
is
goes.
that? Is that a Range Rover Sport? What is that? Is that a Range Rover Sport? Then?
that
two-door Range
right, but
Rover.
like
they made them into two doors. Look on that. That's cool.
Yeah, so
That is cool.
they do that with some frequency where they take a four-door and turn it into a two-door.
like, does the
even
person that
uglier.
commissioned that know that the Evoque exists?
No, so they did an 812, like it's like it was clearly before the GTS was announced, but like it eventually ended up existing. But this is
But they wanted a cloth soft top, not that BS. That's one of the ugliest cars I've ever seen in my entire life, by the way. And I want it. I want to be clear. I would like to own it.
Range Rover.
Oh,
Yeah,
this 322 is really this two-door 322.
Oh,
Hey,
that's incredible.
Many years ago, when I was in Pebble Beach many years ago, I encountered a Newport Convertible Engineering L322 convertible Range Rover at Laguna Seca.
Wow.
They actually had done it on a four-door, and it was unbelievably heinous. And of course, I was very jealous.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is a very aggressively ugly car, but I want it.
Everybody was looking at like 288 GTO Evoluciones, and you were looking at the.
I love this. Also, the
other
one with the
Newport
top
convertible.
looks kind of like
I love it with the windows up.
like a Rolls Royce Cullinan. If you go to the next photo.
But we'll
funny thing
we'll get
about-
to
No. There's some Cullinan vibes there.
That is so bad. The funny thing about these cars, the thing I've always loved about the Newport convertible engineering cars, the cost to build them is astronomical. And the value that it adds is approximately $4 to the total cost.
That FJ Cruiser convertible. I think that's
No, there's a lot of FJ convertibles. They're not uncommon.
This is like, I think the FJ convertible was probably the most popular thing that they do because we've seen them around like in Newport as
they're
well.
in Laguna Beach. Yeah, people have them. They're not that uncommon.
But so I had an observation about their classic convertibles that they've done. The classics look like they should be that way. Like they kind of like track like this DB5 convertible looks like.
They did make a DB5 convertible, didn't they?
I believe they. I don't know if they did a Volant to the DB5, but
here's an idea. Maybe if when they're making a classic convertible, they take the coupe from the customer, they go find the convertible version, and then they just give it back to the customer and say, "Hey, look what we did." I mean, Rolls-Royce Camargue, that was a heinous car, convertible or coupe.
Right, true. But I think the gem of all of this is their Range Rover Classic that they did, which is one of the roughest looking conversions I've ever seen. Where's the top-up picture? This one.
Also,
man.
It certainly seems like they started with a 4-door Range Rover, but 2-door Range Rover Classics exist.
You know, that would be better to... I'm sure someone wanted a nice one, but it would be better to just buy a crappy one and just take the roof off and not have a cloth soft top and only drive it on nice days. That's probably the better way to handle that.
Barchetta, if you will.
Range Rover Barchetta, yeah.
I love the cars that are in the background here, by the way.
Yeah.
Newport Convertible Engineering, these people are gods, and I love that they do this work. I love any sort of coach-built or specialty-made cars, and I think this is so cool.
Right. One final point on them is their concept vehicles, which I think are better than anything else. So there are some of these that actually make sense. So one like the Lamborghini Urus convertible, I actually think that looks
I will
cool.
note these are all concepts, and they're clearly renderings, and I wonder how they would actually make it work. It's not that nice.
They would make it work.
They make it work, but I think the winner of them all, from everything we've discussed so far, is the Porsche Panamera convertible concept, which is heinous. This is a facelifted first-gen Panamera that we're looking at, and boy, if you have one and want to do this, good luck to you. But
also,
man, it's bad.
I kind of do want to do it.
I know. I love this.
Don't think it looks that
I
bad.
agree with you. I don't think this looks that bad.
horrible.
I think it's so cool.
Absolutely horrible.
Now, I do wish that they had hired, I don't know, literally anybody with Photoshop skill to do this. But
Filippo, what would this cost us, do you think? I mean, we could buy one of these Panameras for like $6, right?
yeah, 12
And,
for like a good one.
Hey, wait, Kennan, I found an actual picture of one. I'm going to text it to you. You hold up your screen.
Okay.
Here's a picture of one. It looks like it's got Saudi plates, and this is what I want. This doesn't look bad. I'm actually into this now.
Walk to that camera and just hold it up.
Wait, why don't I hold it up?
Yeah, that would have made so much sense.
He said it to our friend. Okay, all right. Yeah, why don't you just hold it up? But yeah, this is.
I don't have it on my phone. Oh no, maybe I do because I sent it.
That is what it looks like. Thank you, Filippo.
There's so many better ways to do this.
There's so many, and that is not working. Oh my god.
Here. Look at that.
That's better. Thank you, Doug.
Good. I want that. That looks like a 928 convertible that they never made. Okay, we've gone way off the rails on convertible.
But that's what you do when you go to Newport. So everybody, I highly encourage you to go check out their website, Newport Convertible Engineering, or newportconvertible.com. It's a fascinating way to spend some time.
I want to talk about, speaking of heinous vehicles, I want to talk about my Toyota Sequoia, which is heinous and overpriced and oversized and embarrassing.
Hard to find in a parking lot.
I'm embarrassed to own it. I'm embarrassed to drive it, and it is great. And my wife even likes it, and we've gotten to the point where we kind of all agree that it was the right choice. But I've been off-roading with it because I go off-road. I drive on the beach all the time here, and it's been hard this summer. There's been a lot of soft sand. People get stuck all the time. The Sequoia is doing great. It is the greatest off-roader that I've ever had.
Are you at all concerned that it's the widest vehicle?
Yeah, it's big, but we PPF'd the sides.
Oh, you PPF'd the sides?
No, just to the G-Wagon, actually. I forgot, but I don't care about the sides of the Sequoia.
Does it do better than the G-Wagon?
Yeah, it's incredible. You should see this thing. You put it in sand mode, and there's like 38 lines of defense. And people were like, "You bought this big thing. It's not gonna go off road. It's so big." And it's like, well, actually, no. It does a pretty good job. And I'm really like it. And I like when I'm in it. I feel powerful.
Those camo fender flares.
And
Just
seats.
tell all your neighbors in your very tasteful village that I'm here. Look out.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but
It's very embarrassing.
It does what I wanted it to do. It seats like 20 people, and it goes off road really well, and it's exactly what I wanted. I have no regrets about buying it.
And you have
despite
that
its
and
many shortcomings.
You have that and a G-Wagon parked in front of your charming New England house. You should be embarrassed.
Yeah, the G-Wagon has been great. Nobody seems to really care about it, though, actually.
No, the G-Wagon's great. It's a cabriolet. It's
The
small,
convertible
it's
is
not
more charming because it's weird. But, I mean, man.
I'm not surprised that the Sequoia is great off-road. That's why you bought it. And, like, I'm glad it does that. Had there been any times that you've forgotten to put it into four-wheel drive? Because you do have to manually put it into four-wheel drive.
The weirdest thing about the new Sequoia is that unlike every other SUV on the planet, you're not driving around in an auto four-wheel drive. You have to do it yourself. There's a switch, like in the old days. And so, yeah, no, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm terrified.
Where have you gone? Like, have you gone just...
I've driven it. I'll tell you, I drove it over the Continental Divide.
Whoa.
No, really, though, it's been good. And everybody who made fun of me can eat their words.
If only you could get a picture of it with a bison.
I will. Do you want me to do that? I'll do that on the way.
Yeah,
home.
can you do that on the way back for me, please?
I'll go to South Dakota or North Dakota, whichever place it is. All right, Filippo, give us something interesting. You got tires?
Yeah, can I talk about Chevy EVs, though?
You can talk about Chevy EVs lease deals. I see that in our little document, but the deal has to be so good that it makes Kennan drop his jaw. And it isn't...
Can I time him?
Yeah. Okay.
If it isn't that good, I am going to make you drive a Honda Prologue.
I would love to drive a Honda Prologue or an Acura ZDX, first gen.
Slug, nice.
Here's what's interesting about Chevy EVs. So in general, EVs right now, pretty cheap to get. Lease deals especially quite attractive across the market.
Yeah.
Chevy just came out yesterday with the Blazer EV and also with the Equinox EV that nobody has reviewed or talked about, but are out. Like,
just there.
They're available.
Okay.
So that means that you can get an EV that's brand new to the market, 300 something miles of range. And the car that just came out yesterday is available for about $330 a month as a lease deal.
Yeah, with what down? The Equinox EV?
I'm looking at Lease Hacker, which is a great site that aggregates that. The Equinox EV deal that they have pre-negotiated for you is $1,572 due at signing, including taxes and fees.
Kennan, can you pull up a picture of an Equinox EV? I have no idea what this heinous thing looks like.
That's what's notable. These are great lease
Isn't
deals
it
and
wonderful
incentives.
when an automaker releases a car into heavy incentives? That's when you know you're really doing well as a car company.
And the Equinox EV looks good. And I was able to find like one or two reviews, and it said that it was good. Not great, but good.
Let me ask you a question. And I mean this with all the sincerity in my heart. In the past, when General Motors would come out with undesirable cars, which, let's be honest, was almost all of them, they were able to sell them without any problem to the rental car companies. But now they've come out with undesirable electric cars, and the rental car companies want nothing to do with this trash. So this is what happens. So General Motors has been making undesirable cars for my whole life. And they used to just pawn them off on the fleets.
Yep.
And now the fleets won't even take them.
Yep.
Which we thought was like the bottom of the barrel, like worst case scenario, at least the fleets will take them. Now they won't even take them. And so now their solution is to release a new car, and the moment it is released, to offer it with a lease incentive to make it more attractive, more affordable.
Do you want to know what the lease deal is if you're a current Chevy Bolt leasee or a GM supplier or like a GM family? $102 a month. Wow. It's a good time if you're in the market for an EV lease. And you should probably lease one for a bunch of reasons. It's a
Of course, the great humor in all this is then the result of that is they'll be all over Detroit. And then GM executives will be like, we're selling these in big numbers. We're doing great. Yeah. We're doing great on these.
The thing is, the Equinox EV looks great. The Blazer EV looks fine. It's such a good car that Honda is building them alongside it. It's building the Honda version alongside it. So that's a testament to something.
I want to talk about the Honda Prologue a second. Can you pull up a picture of that? To this day, Honda won't let me review one of these cars because they know I'm going to be mean. So I'm just going to be mean without reviewing it. Let's do it right now.
Do you want to pull up the Honda Prologue or the Acura ZDX, which is the other?
No, I want to talk about the Prologue. The ZDX is known to be bad. The Prologue we should just discuss. So the Honda Prologue, that's the Honda Prologue, and it's called the Prologue because it's a prologue to them making good cars. And the Honda Prologue has the following things that are good about it. 6-lug wheels. Unfortunately,
I'm really concerned about them falling off. They really want to make sure.
Unfortunately, it has the following things that are bad about it: pricing, performance, equipment, reliability, desirability, styling, all of those. So there's 6-lug wheels in the pro column, and in the negative column, it's all of everything, actually, pretty much. Have you seen one yet?
Nope, but I did see an Acura ZDX advertised by the Acura dealer outside of Costco yesterday. So.
Didn't I send you a picture of a Prologue that I saw on the street?
I've seen one, to be fair. I've seen one.
You've seen one?
But we live in San Diego where we see every new car is like you can find one in San Diego within like a week of it coming out.
Absolutely.
Lots of new cars, especially lots of like new EVs. Not Prologues.
Here's what happens. Here's how someone ends up with a Prologue. I'm going to tell you the story. They go into the Honda dealer looking for a CR-V hybrid, which is a good car, a very highly competent car. The dealer says, we don't have any of those, or we have two, but they're over sticker. But we got an electric car now, and it's called the Prologue. And the person says, oh? And they say, yeah, and we'll sell it to you for $20,000 off. And the person says, well, what's the sticker? And they say, it's $25,000. And they say, oh my God, they'll sell me this car for only $5,000? And Honda says, yes, we will. And that's what happens, more or less.
It's incredibly hard to disagree with that.
I love when things are consistent or like car stories actually happen. I'm sure this will materialize. You're memeing it into existence like you do with a lot of other things.
Kennan, you should pick up a Honda Prologue because I bet you can get one for 85% off.
I don't know, but I gotta be honest with you. I can't believe that the E400s are that cheap. I've been thinking about that for a while.
You can buy my E350 if you want.
I do not want to own any car. No offense. I don't want to own any car you've ever owned.
That car is we maintain it well. It's not clean, but we maintain it well.
I don't know.
Can I tell you a fun fact about the Chevy Blazer?
Sure.
EV. I don't know if this is still going to be true because they keep changing their trims and specs.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they first announced it, it was going to be available as a front-wheel drive vehicle, as an all-wheel drive vehicle, or as a rear-wheel drive vehicle.
And Kennan, I know what you're thinking. What other car is like that? And the answer is none. And that's why another reason why the Blazer EV is a terrible car. The Tesla has the selling points, the supercharger, the self-driving, the great range, the performance. Chevy's selling point was, we do front-wheel drive, we do rear-wheel drive, we do all-wheel drive. And as a result, no one has purchased that or the Honda Prologue. Okay, can we move on to cars that people actually care about? Kennan, tell us about your M5 and your withdrawals.
Yeah, so as many people know, yet again, I'm talking about my M5. If you're playing the Cars and Bids drinking game, I've mentioned my M5, so go ahead and take a sip. But it has been stationary for a while now. By the time this comes out, it will already be back on the road, technically, because I have the ABS module is showing up on this Friday. And so it'll be back. I'll be driving it again, which will be lovely. But of course, I'll be on vacation now. And I'm just like, I just can't stop thinking about it. I'm very grateful that you lent me your car. I'm very grateful that our friend Kevin lent me his WRX STI. I just realized that I have to be driving something I care about and that is interesting to make me happy. It has actively made me less happy and less affable to be around because I just miss my car. It's like such an important part of my day, and I look forward to driving. In your car and that car, although your car I prefer to the STI because it's more fun. In my opinion.
You prefer my 500 Barth to your other friend's Impreza WRX STI hatchback.
Yeah, because that's more serious and like really brutally uncomfortable. But your car is like fun and fizzy and cool. And the STI is cool in a different way, I guess. But I just miss liking driving. I've found excuses not to go on as many trips. I've found reasons not to go out and drive around. Like I just don't want to drive. And when I do go like out to dinner or something, and I want to cruise down PCH. I'm just like eager to get home. Like I'm over it. I just want to be out of the car. I don't want to be in the car. That's how much the M5 means to me. That it like changes the way that I approach my like life, and I just am so thrilled to use it, and it's so enjoyable. It makes me so happy, and not having it has made me really sad. And so I miss it dearly. And
have you considered falling in love with a car that's reliable?
You say
flaws
that,
make
Filippo,
them more human. Somehow.
You say that, Filippo, but the dude loves the car. I've been thinking about this because I think about Kennan's finances more than I think about breathing and water. But I've decided that if he loves the car, what can he say? It's changed his life. He's sitting here saying that he's not as happy of a person on a day-to-day basis because he can't shift that lighted gear stick.
Yeah, it's true. Like I also realize like I've spent a lot of money on the car, and especially recently. But I know I look like an idiot right now. Not to call out BMW Classic, but they don't support their cars very well. And for a variety of reasons, manufacturers don't want to fulfill contracts that have expired that make these parts. But there are parts that I have bought that, Ryan has shown me how many are left in the world. And I'm not going to look like an idiot in 5 years when you can't get some of these basic consumable components.
No, and you know what you should do is hoard them. Remember Carl did that when I bought my Ford GT?
Well,
he bought like seats and steering wheels and stuff and was selling them for like 10x.
That's a little, like, I don't need seats and steering wheels, but I have kept around because the steering wheel can be rewrapped and so can seat. But I have bought components for the car that will keep it on the road for a very long time. And so I know I look stupid now, and I know like replacing the underbody plastic is ridiculous. But when you buy components when there are legitimately 5 of them left in the world and I buy one of them, or like my lower timing chain guides when I did the system last year, I bought the last ones on the planet. You can't get them anymore. And
this is why you should hoard. Dude, and I'll tell you something. I did this with the Ford GT. Can go on eBay right now, ebay.com. Go right now. Type in, all right, so when I bought my Ford GT, my garage situation was such that I scraped the front splitter coming out of my garage, right? Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, this car is out of production. This is 6 or 7 years ago. This car's out of production. I'm gonna get a Ford GT. I'm gonna get 2 extra front splitters, and I'm gonna really corner that market, and I'll have them forever. So type in Ford GT front splitter. You gotta put Ford GT in quotes. And so I bought 2 of these front splitters and I paid $500. And you know what they cost now? $500. Yeah.
You say this, but like, okay, so steering. If you want to use the steering wheel example, I found out last night. The E39M5 uses the same wheels.
I'm making fun of you. I think it is actually a good strategy.
Can I make fun of you something?
For some reason, this particular part didn't work out for me, but generally this is a good idea.
In theory. Now, I know people who have like Duesenbergs who like say they're actually easier to keep on the road. You think there's a lot of aftermarket support. Like the community has risen to make the components themselves. But the E39M5, although there are companies that make parts for that car, and some of them are very good and other quality is questionable, like it hasn't risen to that stage yet because it hasn't needed to. It will eventually, but I mean, but also will it? I don't know. Who knows?
Thrilled that it brings you that level of joy, and that you are willing to invest that amount of money to keep your level of joy up.
Well, I mean, look, you have to spend money on things that make you happy, and that car makes me so happy every day.
I'm glad. The real question is, would a car that had a tenth the miles make you, that same car that had 10 miles, make you equally happy and be a better investment?
Here's the thing. No, maybe. Here's the thing with that is like the stuff I've done, you will have to do. If you have one, period, you'll have to do it. And when the components are no longer available, you're screwed. So like, I just don't, I think that I'm also a believer in one that has miles where every mile I drive it doesn't actively devalue the car. It's like devalued already.
The happy medium though, Kennan, is not to daily the car. And I think
I'm getting to that point.
No, we shouldn't go down that road. If it makes Kennan happy to daily drive it, he has a car with 235,000 miles.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't think you shouldn't. But I'm saying if you wanted to keep the cost down, like Filippo just said, like I think the reality of the situation is the way that people do. You're saying if you have one of these, you have to do this. But the way to prolong the life of having to do this stuff is by driving it less. So if you were putting 3,000 miles on the car a year instead of 12, some of the parts you're replacing at this because you're using it so much would actually be stretched out 3, 4, 5 years. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm not saying you should do this. But what I'm saying is like I have a suspicion that just less frequent use would probably cost you less. Yeah,
well, I don't disagree with that, although really some of the parts will time out due to the rubber just like degrading over time, and like that's just life and I'll have to figure that out. But like, yeah, I mean there's something to it. Like I'm also very precious about the car. Like I've always been really careful about it, and now I have so much money into it.
Except for that one time you ran into that poor teacher.
Well, that was after that I became really no, I was still very precious at that time, and that was one of the worst and most traumatizing experiences of my life. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're so welcome.
But nonetheless, like I just adore that car. I just think it is the coolest. I went and sat in it the other day, and I was like, oh man, I just miss this car.
I think this shows the key difference between Kennan and I. My car starts having issues that I'm like, I'm gonna lease.
Most people.
You're not driving an iconic special. You're driving an E-Class station wagon.
Okay,
we have to move on. We have to move on to the market report.
Market report. Doug, you want to start us off?
Market report is brought to us by Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids is an online auction platform. You visit carsandbids.com. You list your car there for free. We sell the car. We get all the money. Anything else, Filippo? That Cars and Bids
you as the seller receive the actual money.
It doesn't all come to us.
No, we sell you list the car, we get all the money. It's great. It's wonderful.
We will get you the most money is maybe what Doug meant to say. All right.
Okay. A couple of things on market report, and then we're going to move on to questions because we kind of skipped it last week. Kennan, here's something incredible for you that you should be talking about.
Okay.
Type in Audi RS5 to the search bar.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say. A great car.
Are you aware that those V8 ones, which were only sold for 2 model years.
Yes, 15, 16, right?
It was 15, 16, are now 25 grand.
That's wild to me.
This is a beautiful car, styled by an Italian, like all beautiful cars were. It is a naturally aspirated V8, 450 horsepower. Oh. They were tip only, which is kind of a drawback, but it is beautiful. It is NAV8. It is fast. It's faster than anything Filippo's even ever driven. And it sells for $25,000 US, and it's rare. It is a rare and special car.
Yeah, I love those. If one of my coworkers at the exotic car dealership I worked at, Arthur, had one of these in white, and oh man, every time he showed up in it, it just looks, it's so cool.
Great car.
That engine too is one of the
all-time. 13, 14, 15. Those were the models. There's 3 years, but they're very, 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 very rare cars. They didn't make a lot of them, and since then they switched the RS5 to a turbo V6, which, by the way, has less power than the original NA. So even to this day, the RS5 has less power than the original V8 one that came out back in 2013.
25 grand. 25 grand with 40,000 miles. Wow.
Filippo, how come you haven't bought one of these?
That's a good question.
It's too old for you and doesn't have a V.
It's so beautiful. It is such a beautiful car. You can tell when you look at that car that an Italian designed it.
Can I jump off?
Still looks good. That's how.
All right, I have a question for you, Will. There's another sports car that's around the same price now, 20 to 25K.
Okay.
Which is Focus RSs. Somehow they have plummeted in like the last 6 months.
And Kennan, which would you rather have?
I mean, it's very fair. Great point.
It's a legitimate question though. It's a couple model year difference. Yes.
No, it's not, Philippe.
You only buy manual cars. This is a manual.
Well,
yeah, but
that's
other
true.
Than that,
but other than that, this is like the WRX, and it's like it's not. It's not.
You
I don't want to
hate this, and you would love an RS5.
Yeah,
I would have an RS5 as a daily and some manual sports car, and you could. That's an amazing garage.
It's great too.
And you can put it together for 50 grand. An RS5 and a 996. That is a great garage for $50,000. And every time you take out your car, you're driving something special. And every time you take out your car, you're driving something faster than a Filippo mobile.
I mean, yeah, that's
low bar.
Low bar to clear, but it's a very low hurdle. But you're right.
I agree. Focus RSs have gotten cheaper.
But yeah, it's a compelling car.
I would choose the RS5 too.
Even
Boom. You. Everyone would choose the RS5. They're absolute bargains. They look incredible. God, look at the RS5. That slab-sided beauty.
Yeah, it is. I remember vividly when these cars came out, and I remember seeing an A5 just for the very first time. And I have pictures of it I took on myself, like with a cell phone camera, in period, and it just like it. And yeah, it is a very good looking, very, very, very good.
Of course, the current 5 Series looks identical still, but
the current, well, that's because it was beautiful.
Exactly, it's like Ram.
Audi realized, hey, let's exploit this Italian who designed this car for us, and let's just let it run forever because it was the only beautiful thing we ever created.
What's the name of the Italian that designed it?
Walter De Silva. You know him, probably personally. It's a small country.
First name is Walter.
Yeah. Yes. And it's such a cool car. And yes, of course, they're still using that design. By the way, an interesting fact, and this is Ford admitting the Focus RS is not as good as the Audi RS5. You know, the best package of the Focus RS was called the RS2.
Nice. That's so great. Well done.
Okay, I have a market report topic for us that's going to be controversial, but I think it's time that someone says it. We all want to say it. Filippo's wanted to say it for years. It's time to talk about it.
I've thought it for years.
The Mercedes-Benz W124 and W126. Okay, so the W124 was the E-Class that was sold from 86 to 95. But more importantly, the W126 was the S-Class that was sold from like 83 until like yesterday. No, until like 91. And there has been like speculation that these cars will become desirable at some point, and they never have. And I have decided, after a lot of consideration, that they never will. They simply never will. People come to me and they're like, I got a perfect W126 560 SEL. Pull these up, Kennan. type in 560 SEL, and people are like, I got a really, really perfect one, low miles, it's incredible. You know what that's worth? 10, 12. And the reason is actually Mercedes made the cars too good. Yep. They are incredibly reliable. They are incredibly durable. They never break. They never fail. And so it's actually quite easy to find a low mileage, nice version of this car. We've sold ones with 40,000 and 20,000 miles for 20 grand. The great shoot up of 88 560 SEL values has never come and will never come. They are simply too good and too preserved and too easy to find.
So many of them, yeah.
What a problem to have.
You are right. I'm glad that somebody was finally brave enough to say it out loud.
I really believe it though, because I've talked to a lot of people who are like, yeah, I've got a few of these 560 SELs, or I'm thinking about getting one because values can't stay low forever. Yes, and I'm here to say they will. They will. They're never going to increase.
So go and drive it and enjoy it.
124s are interesting because I feel like 123s had a heyday. There's still worth something, but not a ton.
No, you're right about that, but only a very specific 123, like a turbo diesel wagon with low miles. Yep. And even then, it's not like it ever got to 100 grand like an air-cooled 911. Like that was a rare car to begin with, especially kept in nice shape. But the 560 SELs are even more common in nice shape. S-classes in general were preserved better because they were always nicer cars. And SELs, they didn't break. They were made really well. And they're just not rare. And they're not hard to find in nice shape.
Great market insight, Douglas.
It's a $10,000 car.
It is all day.
It might be the best $10,000 car in the world.
No, because the car you're about to talk about, I think, is the best $10,000 car, $6,000 car in the world.
Oh man, pull it up. Tell Kennan to
WRX.
O2 WRX. We sold on Cars and Bids recently. We've sold two unmodded O2 WRX.
This one.
The sedan, and you can click on the wagon, but the sedan too.
This one. Wow, $7,400.
I legitimately thought about buying this car.
No, you didn't.
Dude, this car, unmodded,
so clean
for $7,000. Wow. Okay, so here's a theory I have about these. I've been sitting on the beach a lot, just thinking about car market. Here's a theory I have about these.
And we're calling that work or just
The Integra Type R, okay? That's a car that has now become very valuable. A nice Integra Type R is like a $50,000 car.
Yeah.
Tell me why this is any different. This car is more powerful. It has all-wheel drive as opposed to front-wheel drive. It's probably rarer. Yes, the Integra Type R had 190 horsepower. This had 227. It is probably rarer in unmodified nice condition because people knew to save the ITRs and they didn't save the Imprezas. Tell me why an O2 WRX in like 15 years doesn't start to become like a super turbo or a Z32 300ZX.
I think you said it. I think you said it because people knew to preserve the other car. And so I think it's like that mystique has just like grown and grown and grown. I don't know that these. You're talking about an exceptional examples being worth a lot of money one day. And I agree, $7,400 is ridiculously low. It's got 112,000 miles on it, to be clear.
This car is a bargain.
Yeah, I think I actually agree with you that it is a bargain, but it just isn't. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why. But
you know why? Because Subaru made slightly improved version of these, and Acura never made another good car.
They made the RSX Type S. They never made another
good car. Well, that's a little extreme.
I mean, it was a little extreme, but you get the point, right?
No,
like
they made the
it didn't
RSX
continue.
Type S.
What, sorry?
They made the RSX Type S.
That's not something.
It had 6-speed manual, one more gear. It had more power, 20 more horses. It was also a VTEC. It was also all that stuff. And in Canada, they sold a base model RSX with hubcaps.
To be fair, the RSX is worth identical to what this WRX is worth.
No,
they're all worth $7,000.
Nice RSX Type S is worth like 30.
No,
and this WRX is undervalued.
What? Since one has a nice, like that one was special, but it's also an outlier. The rest are worth 20.
Nice RSX Type S's bring money. We just sold one for 15. We just sold another one for 18. If you had an O2 WRX,
double.
An O2 WRX is not selling for 18, even if it had 1 mile and Kennan licked the steering wheel.
Value detractor or value additive?
I don't want my saliva on a steering wheel. I would then clean it with leather cleaner.
This car is a future classic.
Yeah.
This car changed the world. It brought Japanese performance cars back to the U.S. after they all went away. It was the video game car, the first one that came. Evo didn't come till 03. GTR didn't come till 07. This thing showed up and said, yes, we will try performance cars in America. And now they sell. They are relegated to the corners of Cars and Bids where they sell for $7,000. It is a travesty.
So what you're saying is that the Mercedes-Benzes drive those cars not going to be worth anything. So you want to put a date on when this one will be worth something, just like you did with the Land Cruiser a couple weeks ago? Because I have it in my calendar. I'll add it this one too.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you another thing. 2.5 RSs. This is the real travesty of the whole thing. The previous model was sold in the U.S. from 94 to 01, WRX Imprezas. They never did a WRX, but they did a 2.5 RS, which was the performance version with 165 horsepower, naturally aspirated. Nice 2.5 RSs sell for like 30. And this car, which has 60 more horsepower, is $7,000. So I don't know when it's going to happen, Kennan, but it's going to happen.
The moral of the story is, according to Doug, if you have one of these cars and it's very nice and very clean and very unmodified,
no one does.
Hold on to it. Exactly. This one was it, and you missed it. So congratulations to whoever won this one. It is quite a car.
I want that thing so bad. I mean, look, when you go into the known flaws section, you see a front end collision in 04, a rear end collision in 06. Peeling clear coat, front bumper shows signs of repaint, foggy headlight lenses, seepage under the engine. The seller himself describes the ride as bouncy due to worn struts and shocks. There's rust on the underbody, engine bay, wiper arms, and wheel arches, and the air conditioning doesn't work. But other than those problems, this
So what do you think? Someone's going to modify the ever-living crap out of this car now?
This car's done. Dude, Kennan, this car already has had the engine taken out of it. It's already got some sort of weird short block in it, and it's on bad wheels, and it's already on neons.
Can I ask you a related question? When will the current WRX become worth something?
The current value of the current WRX is actually the highest that it will ever be. So
correct.
Okay, I want to move on to questions. We have questions, and we have to take them because the people want to know things.
With pleasure.
They want to know things. Now, remember, you can ask your own questions. You go to carsandbids.com, you click on community, and there will be a post there that directs you to ask questions. And we will answer the highest upvoted questions, no matter how bad they are. We will answer them, right?
They're usually very good, to be clear.
Can you remind the people what carsandbids.com is all about?
Carsandbids.com. It's an auction website. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, now last week we only took a couple questions because we had a longer market report segment because we had John Tamarian come in guest star and he was excellent. This week we're going to take all the questions we didn't take last week plus more. Ooh. Okay? So we began with a question from Ind Can. Question for Doug, Kennan, and Filippo. What is one feature from an older discontinued car that you wish was standard on modern cars? I'll tell you the answer, but I'm curious your thoughts.
That is a good one.
That is a good one.
Filippo, do you need me to tell you?
Well, I keep thinking, please do tell us.
Your guys are going to agree with this, and then we're going to move on. But the 1998 Lincoln Navigator had climate controls on the steering wheel.
The Prius does that now. Maybe. Did it? I don't know. I don't know what the inside of a new Prius looks like, but like that was a thing in the first 3 gens. So if you wanted to increase the AC, it's just like how your car has steering wheel radio controls. Mm-hmm. They had climate controls. Whoa.
You say whoa, but that's a good feature.
The Prius did it from 03 to I don't know when.
It is a good feature. It is hard to
I had an 01 Prius, and I didn't have that.
I should have said 2nd gen or 3rd gen, depending on your definition on.
That is my definition. There
was I know.
3rd gen came out in 03. And I think it was 04, actually. Okay, do you have a better answer?
No, that's a good one.
A feature that was from the old school. Oh, you know, another one is vent windows on the front.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yep, those are nice.
I would like headlights that when something goes wrong, just keep working. Like you just replace a bulb.
That's not a feature that old cars had.
No, but I have feelings about it. Right
Dipsticks.
Dipsticks is a great one. That is a great one.
When we were in Italy, we spent some time with my sister, who also had a rental car, and she had an Audi A4 wagon rental car.
Wow, nice.
She got to check your oil level light, right? Because it's a 6,000 kilometer Audi, and that's what happens.
Yes.
It is exclusively in the infotainment system. So, like, okay, what do you want me to do? Drive it around for 20 minutes, and then it'll tell me the oil level, but then I can't do anything about it because it like yells at you if you open the hood and the engine's hot.
There's no dipstick?
There's no dipstick whatsoever.
It's just
So
infuriating.
it's
so
simple.
simple.
And like,
It's so simple. It was technology that worked. I will stick with my, it's a key that you twist to turn on the car.
No,
I
I
still
don't
like
think
that personally, but I'm sticking with the dipstick. I think that the dipstick.
What are you, a Porsche 911 fanatic?
We used to
No, I'm like a quarter step
removed.
removed from one.
Quarter step is right. All right, now we know. Dipstick.
That is not an acceptable answer.
Dipstick is an acceptable answer.
Dipstick is probably the right answer, although the climate
But I like
control.
you and I win. He came up with nothing.
Yeah, true. Okay, next question from Oh Yes Yes. Doug, a billionaire offers you $3 million to drive to Barrow, Alaska in the heart of winter in your Countach. You're allowed to use anything necessary to complete this journey, but if it's late fall but if you're late or fail, you get nothing, and you're presumably stuck in central Alaska or equivalent with a Countach. Apparently in January. He didn't say that at the start. Would you do it? $3 million. Is the $3 million taxable, Filippo? What do you think?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably do it. I think I could do it.
Would you do it for two?
I'll go with you if you give me something from that $3 million.
Would we have to fix it or what?
No, you could use the $3 million to fix it.
Bring some tools.
You're allowed to use anything necessary to complete the journey. Well,
including a tow truck?
I'd bring George Evans and I'd charge him whatever he wants. I'd tell him I'd give him $500,000, and then I got $2.5 million, and we'd definitely make it.
There you go.
You could just talk about Countach just the whole way, and LM002s and all those cars.
Well, we would talk about what we would do with the money.
What amount of money would you do it for? Like, what's the minimum?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd probably do it for. Well, what would George Evans do it for? Because he's riding with me. You know, that starts to become the problem. Would either of you do this?
Yes, for notably less money. I don't have a Countach.
How much would you do it for? What would I have to pay you to do it? You do it for $100,000?
In what car?
So low.
I'd probably do it for $100,000 in the Countach.
Oh yeah, I'd do
$100,000,
as long as like the $100,000 doesn't include
taxes.
like snow tire. Yeah, I would do it for $100,000. No questions asked.
It would be long.
That'd be fine.
It would be exciting. It would be really
I've never been to Alaska.
exciting.
Not after the third day.
No, as long as I have my AirPods that I can, because the noise is very exciting in short bursts, but man, you got to drown that stuff out because those carbs are.
I got a stereo in there. I listen to music.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
really not good, but that's not the point of the car. Yeah, it's an interesting premise. I mean, there is a guy who drives. It's not a Countach, but a guy with a 308. Brian's Questionable Decisions on Instagram. Has driven his 308. I think he drove it to Dead Horse, Alaska, which, if memory serves, is the most northerly town in the United States, I believe.
I'm not American.
But he drove that through Canada, drove it back, drives all over the West skiing, and you can see this car constantly.
He hasn't posted in a year. I wonder what happened.
He got tired. But he was leaving some national park. The throttle cable snapped, and he had to like figure it out on the side of the road. And it's just so cool. Like, that's so interesting. It's such an
We did that.
right.
Doug,
yeah, with the keychain. That keychain worked
All
well.
you need
Me
is a
and
keychain.
Filippo replaced a throttle or fixed a throttle cable on the side of the road. That is exactly right.
High
No
quality.
You know
cold
what? It
ones.
worked.
No cold ones. All right.
Okay, next question from Bradley Bronson. Keep, sell, or destroy Mercedes A-Class, Mitsubishi Mirage, B9 Tribeca.
I know which of these is my favorite, but I don't know if I want to keep it or not. I do.
The A-Class is your favorite,
No,
but you don't want to.
no. The B9 Tribeca is the absolute favorite of these. I will keep that one. I will sell the A-Class, and I will destroy the Mirage.
Yeah, that's the answer. Kennan, do you have any
Also,
different
for
answer?
what it's worth, the B9 Tribeca is the one that's worth the least out of these, so no point in selling that one.
I'm
a good
impartial.
point.
It's traffic to me.
Next question, also from Bradley Bronson. Doug, when will you buy a Fiat Multipla? Filippo, do you want to answer that one?
Doug and I have talked extensively about whether we should buy a Fiat Multipla. If you think we should, write to Doug personally and convince him. No, I don't know. I kind of want one. But it's so hard to find a good
The answer
one.
for me is never, but I would contribute to Filippo's Fiat Multiple fund.
It might happen at some point.
Dude, the one I drove at Lane was good. It was like, I'm not screwing with you.
No,
it
they're
was
great.
legitimately good to drive.
It's a great car. I only saw one, in 3 weeks in Italy, I saw one Fiat Multipla. It's like
It
one
is sad, isn't
first
it?
gen Fiat Multipla.
I remember when I went to Italy in 11. Yeah, no, 10. They were pretty around. And these
more.
days,
Second gen ones are around.
Second gens are around. Yeah, you see second gens.
You want a
but
first.
You need a first. You don't want that. You
Absolutely.
don't want a second.
Oh,
the
man, I
second
would
gen,
be
they
so
made it
into
look
that.
normal.
If I want a second, I'm just gonna buy an Opel Zafira instead.
That's exactly right. If I wanted a normal looking car, I'd get an Opel Zafira. I actually like how the Opel Zafira looks.
It's kind of like a second gen Fiat Multipla
Yeah, that's true.
or
I
any
mean,
other MPV. So there you go.
Right, it's a big yawner. You know what it looks like is the Kia Rondo.
Which, fun fact, was sold in the U.S. with 7 seats.
Kennan doesn't know what that is.
No, nor does he believe that you could fit 7 humans in it. 'Cause it's not
How
big.
often do you think a car comes up that Kennan has never even heard of, but was sold in the United States?
Every
I
few
tell you
minutes.
3 times in the last question. But
Yeah.
the A-Class wasn't sold in the U.S. though, so you know. No, I've heard.
Okay. Next question is a great one. This is for me and Kennan. Filippo, you can step out of this one. Luke 26. What would you rank every generation 911 from best to worst?
Ooh, best.
Do you know the 911 gens well enough to do this?
He doesn't.
Yeah, of course I do.
No. I'm saying you, Filippo. I'm saying you, Kennan. Filippo's out.
I know.
He's out.
Best.
993.
997. After 993.
You got to go 964 after 993, I think.
You think the 964 is better than the 997?
I think the 993 is the only good one. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, damn, a purist.
Well, wouldn't I have said a G body? Okay, 993. Worst is, I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I'm not a 991, 992 guy, and I'm not an old school guy. So like the old cars, the 60s ones can duke it out with the Tiptronic stuff.
And then you put 996 above those?
That's a good question. Damn. Okay, 993.
I still think 997. I mean, you're talking about just the base 911 or like the whole range of
You
911s?
would pick a 997 over a 964? I mean, the feel of that air cooled with the old school shift cable. I mean, those
it is
are
good, but
incredible.
it is. I mean, but again, like, we're just comparing base model 911, is what you're saying. Yeah.
I think we're talking about the whole range.
GT3 RS 4-liter. I mean, you're gonna say that you'd rather be driving a I guess the comparison of that would be a turbo 3.6, but
Right. I mean, a turbo 3.6
that is a really cool car, and I would rather have that than. Well, I don't know. 4-liter is pretty cool. That is difficult to say. That is really hard. If it were base 911 to base 911, that is a more apt comparison. It changes
okay, let's say it's base 911, base 911. 993, 991.
I do love the 991, and the base one is really good. And I want one of those as a daily at some point. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
They're
Agreed.
getting cheap.
964,
finally getting cheap.
997, 996. Does the puffy count?
No puff.
And then
puff.
the old stuff, which I don't get into.
Well, it would be.
992.
I guess it would be for you. It would be G body above the K body
Even then,
cars.
though. Even then, though, not my thing.
I don't know. Yes. Oh, yeah. I'd have to come back to that. I'd really have to think about that one. But yeah, I do think I agree. 993 is the best, and I agree that the early stuff for me is like I'm not as interested in any of that.
I'm thinking now, if I had them all sitting here lined up with the keys in them, what would you rather get into? 993 first. The second one I would rather get into is now a 997. It would be a 964. And then the next one I would get into for base 911s would be a 991 probably. And then probably a 996 and then a 997. I know that's very
996 or
counterproductive.
997? Intriguing.
I would put the 997 above
Maybe
the 996,
maybe
but and I love the 996. But I think that base. I think we're close. I think I would do 993. I think 993, 997, 991, 964, then kind of. I guess 992 also is down.
992 is down a little. Okay, here's an interesting one. What if it was turbos?
Oof.
993.
Yeah, it's the
Still
best
number
of them
one.
all.
But then 997.
Yeah, and then 964
Probably 964 is next. Then
An original.
996. This is a great version of the question because it neutralizes the new ones because you wouldn't want the automatics.
Right, that's so true. It does. Yeah, I would say after, man, yeah. I think I agree. I think I probably would put the 996 above the 930. But 930 is so cool. But yeah,
I would do that. It would go 993, 997, 964, 996, 930.
I apologize to anybody who's not a Porsche fan. It's
You know,
tough
while you guys
conversation
are
you have to
doing
live
this,
with here.
I've been thinking about my favorite Porsche Macan generation from Best to Worst.
The only one?
The only one.
I guess
Okay,
it's
we
fair
have
he
one
does.
more question, one more question, one more question.
Good question.
One more question. And it comes to us from AC 1592. And the question, no, let's do this question from Amintron. If you all had to pick one car to own from each other's car history, what would it be?
Oh, whole history.
Well, that's easy for Kennan.
Very
M5.
easy. But yeah.
From yours. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
want a
if it's-
525i.
I would take
You want
that
my
Ferrari
355?
all along.
No,
355.
I don't
No
want the
question.
355. No.
Yeah.
355.
It's easy for me. For Doug, it's got to be the Countach. That's the
You got
coolest
the
car you've
Carrera
ever.
GT. It's got a V from Le
I
Mans
don't.
V10.
You keep it. I want to hear those carbs
I-
going, just sucking away. I
Doug,
just want to hear. I
yeah.
just love the Countach. Every time I get to start it for you is a good day. I feel better when I leave. It's so cool.
Are you sure it's not the
Well, no, you start
exhaust?
the way I start it. It's just. It doesn't because I know how to operate it. But I just think that car is the coolest damn thing. It's so awesome.
Doug, from your car history, I would choose either the Ford GT or your E63 AMG wagon.
E450 All-Terrain is what
No,
you should choose.
E63 AMG wagon.
E450 All-Terrain, and you should choose it in real life too.
No.
I would choose Filippo's Fiat.
Yeah, you don't want my E53
Yeah.
X5 stick? Kennan, you
No,
can
I
make it
thought
perfect.
about that, but no.
Nah. I'm
What about
doing
my-
one. Your Abarth is the coolest. For
Yeah,
sure.
that was the coolest.
It is fun. It's rough, but it's fun.
Those are good
It's
questions.
pretty rough.
They were all lovely. Oh, by the way, there's one other question I want to answer. It's from Alex F505. He says, when Cars and Bids first started in 2020, the cutoff for cars was model year 1980. How was this decided?
1981.
And was there a lot of thought put into the exact year? First off, the premise is wrong. It was never 1980. The cutoff was always 1981. And the reason for this is, and to answer the second part of the question, the 17-digit VIN came in 1981, which we felt when we were launching the business would make everything a lot easier to verify in terms of Carfax and just like VIN. It's very difficult to keep track of pre-1980 cars, pre-1981 cars and serial numbers, and you start getting into like block stamping and things like that, and it's a lot more challenging. And so 1981 was always the cutoff because of the 17-digit VIN, and also the 80s, and I mean that those two things kind of were able to combine. And we do turn down, by the way, 1980 model cars. We don't sell those. We never have sold those.
Correct.
And there's never been a 1980 car on Cars and Bids. Only 81 to the present.
Correct. That was off camera. Sorry, Doug.
My microphone. Okay, there we go. That was our finest podcast ever, Kennan. I hope you're enjoying Monterey Car Week, which was where you are right now.
I'll come with
Filippo,
stories for the next podcast.
What's that?
I will come with stories to regale everyone with for the next podcast.
Filippo, meanwhile, fix your headlights. You got to be able to see.
Indeed.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.